Hey, my friends, here we are. Yeah, it is January 27th, 2024. After a very eventful news week in entertainment, especially if you're a fan of pro wrestling. The Royal Rumble is tonight, but it feels like that's the last thing on every pro wrestling fan's mind right now. And all I'll say on the matter is this: myself and my co-host Tomas on the ZNT Wrestling Show, we will be doing a separate podcast within the next week and a half or so discussing the whole disgusting situation involving Vince McMahon. And we're finally going to put that matter to rest once and for all. But I mean, this is, like I said, very eventful week in terms of entertainment. And we got some Oscar nominations to talk about because I haven't really had the chance to actually get on the platform and actually discuss what went down with you guys and all the controversy that is going down and all of the polarizing opinions that are coming out, and deservedly so, because I don't know what happened with this voting committee, man, but even though they are recognizing movies that I feel like should be recognized, like I said, I mean, there's snubs every year, but I feel like the snubs this year are glaring. But folks, welcome everybody to the live stream here. We're here discussing the 96th annual Oscar nominations here, my overall thoughts on them, and I will be giving picks as we go along. Today, I do have some other matters to attend to this afternoon, so I'm gonna try and restrict the live stream to under an hour, if that. So I'm just gonna cover the big categories as we go through this and give my predictions. And feel free to voice in the chat and down in the comments if you're watching the replay. What are your predictions for the Oscars? Who do you think were the biggest snubs this year? We're certainly going to be coming across a fair amount of those as we cover the biggest topics. But if you guys are new to the channel, if you haven't already, somehow we just hit 1,700 subscribers on this channel, which is just mind-blowing to me. Thank you all so much for your support. If you've been with me from the beginning, if you just started with me yesterday, thank you so much, everybody. We're on the road to 2,000 subscribers and beyond. So if you haven't already, share this video with your friends and hit that subscribe button. Give it a smash. I would love that. And hit that thumbs up as well. That would be a humongous help, as I always say. But with that all under the rug, with all of the pleasantries out of the way, let's go to the chat. I see Leo is in the chat. I see a few people over here that are trickling in. Again, if you're watching this live, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're watching the replay, thank you also again. But this is gonna be kind of off the cuff today. I mean, I do have a format, but at the same time, I'm also just going to be covering the larger categories. I'm not going to go through every single little category along the way, like all the documentary features and the documentary shorts. I haven't seen all of those. The short films, I didn't get a chance to sit through all of those either. So we're just going to be going over the heavyweight categories here. Best original song is the first category on the docket. Before we actually get into predicting shit on here, I would just like to say one thing. Academy, you should be absolutely ashamed of yourselves, because my number 2 movie of the year, The Iron Claw, not recognized at all. Where the fuck is Zack Efron in this Best Actor category? I feel like I'm just going to keep repeating myself over and over again once we get to that point. I don't care whether or not the studio did not, go around publicizing this movie. Let's just say this. And I feel like the awards, and actually putting the awards together and how people are politicizing their way to get into these categories, that should not be what these awards are all about. They should go to the legit best movies of the year. And that's not to say that the Oscars are not recognizing the very best movies of the year, but there's just some very questionable omissions in here. And the Iron Claw getting a big, gigantic goose egg in the nominations is a cardinal sin, in my opinion. But to each their own, I guess. To each their own. I guess they don't like pro wrestling movies. Jacob Hubbard is in the chat right here. If I did not have my own stream tonight talking about the noms as well. But Zack will always be robbed. Yes, he was robbed. He was robbed. He absolutely was. Troy Bolton, 100%. I see the house at Hulkbill. Good to see you, my friend. Leo got snubbed. You know, that one I'm not as upset about as Zac Efron because it feels like Leo's been nominated like time in and time out. I know the whole joke is, oh, he's been nominated X amount of times and he hasn't won since what was it, The Revenant that he didn't win until? I believe so. But that's the whole joke. But like he gets nominated every time and he's in with the Academy. And that's not what the award season should be all about. It shouldn't be all about being in with the club. It should be all about who put out the best movie, who put out the best performances, who wrote the best script. And yes, you're going to see a lot of the same movies in here, a lot of the same names as we go through this. And yeah, there's a lot of movies in here that I feel like deserve to be recognized by the Academy. I mean, they've been around for almost a century at this point. So it is still a very prestigious honor with a long, long legacy behind it. And it should be honestly, I don't know if it should be every actor's aspiration to be an Oscar winner. And that's just the icing on the cake. That's just the icing on the cake, you know? But with that said, we also see we'll get to the best actor nominations and I'll get to these questions as we get there. But let us go ahead and get started. My source is actually going to be CNN.com because I actually really liked how they formatted it with the pictures and everything, in all honesty. So here we go. Let's look at Best Original Song. Let me actually switch it up here so you can see the entire list here. Stand by. There we go. So let's start with Best Original Song. Obviously, the biggest snub in here is Peaches from the Super Mario Brothers movie. Just going to throw that out there. I know some people commented on my best movies of the year countdown because Mario was on there, but they were like, of course Peaches didn't get nominated because that was meant to be a joke. But I'm like, I just wanted to see Jack Black get some love, man, because Jack Black deserves the freaking world at this point. But here we go. Best Original Song. We have The Fire Inside from Flamin' Hot, which I was very surprised to see on this list. Flamin' Hot, I thought was a decent movie that came out on Hulu last year. Didn't even think about that song being a possibility to appear in this category. I'm Just Ken from Barbie, as you see pictured that whole meme. It's just, I'm glad that the Oscars are recognizing a meme here, but it never went away from American Symphony. Didn't see American Symphony. A Song for My People from Killers of the Flower Moon. That's not really surprising. And What Was I Made For from Barbie, of course, sung by Billie Eilish. I think since What Was I Made For took home the Golden Globe, this is a pretty cut and dry win here for What Was I Made For. Even though I feel like I'm Just Ken winning would be really funny, and I was joking about it for about half a year or so. With all the backlash that's come out about the actual nominations, snubbing not just Margot Robbie, but Greta Gerwig as well. I mean, I don't think it would look good on the Academy at all if I'm Just Ken turned out to be the winner here. So I am going to go with What Was I Made For from Barbie for Best Original Song. Um, what's up, Lindsay? I have my thoughts about I'm Just Ken winning over What Was I Made For. Well, I mean, it shouldn't. I don't think it should. I really don't think it should. What Was I Made For, I think it's the best exemplification without really writing in the dialogue about what Barbie is actually trying to relate to the audience and what its overall message is. And I think that's the best encapsulation of what it's all about. But yeah, as funny as I'm Just Ken is, and as much as I was joking over the past year or so that it should be nominated, and here it is. Here it is for Best Original Song. I don't think it should be winning. Absolutely not. Let's see what else you guys are saying in the chat here. The House at Hulkbill, do you think that Ridley can win a directing Oscar next year? I'm assuming you mean for Gladiator 2. I don't want to jump the gun as much as I would love to see Ridley Scott get nominated here. Like, as bad as Napoleon was last year, don't be surprised if he's left out, but we'll see. Daily Reacts TV. Hey, how you doing today? Welcome to the stream. We are just getting started talking about the big categories at the Oscars here. So we also have Best Original Score down here. You might as well have me talk about this. You have American Fiction, which I was so happy to see all the love for American Fiction in these nominations, and we'll talk about that because I reviewed that not too long ago. watched it after the ball dropped on New Year's Day. I love that movie. American Fiction was phenomenal. You have Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which is almost like a John Williams Legacy Award. Killers of the Flower Moon, which is Robbie Robertson, a posthumous nominee. Oppenheimer, Ludwig Göransson, and Poor Things. God, what's his name? Jerskin. Man, I need to look this up. I'm so sorry because I'm gonna butcher his name, but you know, it's a it's honestly a coin flip for me between Poor Things and Killers of the Flower Moon. Um, if it were up to me, I would say Poor Things just because of how unique it all felt. And again, all due respect to Killers of the Flower Moon, I think it's a tad bit overrated. I don't think it's near the top 10 for me, but I can definitely see why everybody loves that movie. But if it were up to me, best original score is going to Poor Things. And for those of you who are confused why I'm not predicting Oppenheimer there, that's because, and I feel like, spoiler alert, Oppenheimer has there's an opportunity here for a true Lord of the Rings style sweep like we saw 20 years ago. I think Oppenheimer is going to walk away with a lot of trophies. A lot of trophies. Jacob Hubbard is saying that Oppenheimer is guaranteed to win Best Original Score. I don't know, man. I looking at this list, I feel like it's anybody's ball game here. I think all of these scores were fantastic. Personally, I would go with Poor Things just to kind of throw an outside the box choice out there because I really loved that score and how different it was to everything else on this list. But if Oppenheimer does win, I will not be surprised in this category in the slightest because, like I said, I think it is taking home a lot of awards, a lot of them. So let's keep going up here. I believe that's Best Documentary Feature Film. Why is Here's a question. Why is the Michael J. Fox movie not on this Best Documentary list? That movie was fantastic. It was so inspiring. But this brings us to actually a question that Joshman Gamer was asking in the chat here. Best Animated Feature. It was another really solid year for animated movies in 2023. There are some noticeable snubs in here, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. I definitely think should have gotten recognized here. But again, it's not up to me. You have The Boy and the Heron, which shocked the world by winning the Golden Globes. You have Elemental, which I was incredibly happy to see get nominated. I know there weren't a lot of people that went and saw Elemental. I went and saw it in theaters. I've watched it a couple of times with my girlfriend since then. That movie's a freaking delight. And I think it's a great return to original Pixar content form. So Pixar is just, they're the best. They're the best, man. You have Nimona, which I'm sorry, I did not see Nimona, but I definitely would not be surprised. But looking at this list, it is possible that Studio Ghibli could shock the world again, but there was no better animated movie last year, in my eyes, than Across the Spider-Verse. And I think I was saying since the summertime, this category is Across the Spider-Verse is to lose. If The Boy and the Heron does win and shock the world for a second big award show in a row, we'll see. We'll see, honestly. It's really a coin flip. What do you guys think? Lindsay loves Elemental. I loved Elemental too. I loved seeing it get recognized here, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Jacob is already going to cry if Spider-Man does not win. It didn't win the Golden Globe, man. I'm not going to count The Boy and the Heron out just yet. That movie was freaking bizarre. I don't want to say it was my favorite Studio Ghibli movie I've ever seen. I definitely had some issues with it when I watched it, but it was so freaking enjoyable. I watched the English dub of it. Robert Pattinson as the big bird creature. Freaking scary looking, man. But yes, Joshman Gamer, I do believe that Across the Spider-Verse is taking this home. HH Knight Reviews, good to see you here, man. The movie based on the biggest fashion doll franchise of all time didn't get nominated for Best Hair and Makeup. What's up with that? Yeah, nice hurricane reference, by the way. Wonder if he's going to show up in the Royal Rumble tonight. Off topic, but in any case, yeah, that is a very, very odd choice. I do think that Barbie is 100% taking home the Oscar for Best Costume Design because those things are so freaking colorful. And Napoleon does not deserve any sort of Oscar because it sucked. But in any case, we're going to keep moving right along. That is Best Animated Short Film. I didn't really watch any of those. Oh, okay. So we have Best Original Screenplay here. There's a couple of movies that I have not seen out of this list: Anatomy of a Fall and A Past Lives. Neither of those movies I've seen. I know Luke Ponto, buddy, if you're watching this, if you happen to stumble across this stream, I know Past Lives was your favorite movie of the year, but I'm sorry, dude. I just haven't had the time. I haven't seen it. So yeah, but if you guys want me, by the way, to review any of the three movies that I haven't seen that were nominated for Best Picture, please let me know down in the chat because I am eager to watch those and I definitely want to talk about them with you guys. Those are going to be Anatomy of a Fall, Past Lives, and The Zone of Interest. So if you guys want me to talk about those movies, let me know down in the chat. But in Best Original Screenplay, we have Anatomy of a Fall, Past Lives, The Holdovers, which makes me so happy, Maestro, and fucking May December. Why is this getting any recognition? I hated May December. It was like, looking back on it, like Lindsay might tell you, I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, I found it so pretentious in a lot of the things that it was trying to do. Just the more and more I think about that movie, the more I feel like it was way in over its head. And I feel like the script was written a bit ass backwards in terms of presenting Natalie Portman's whole character arc. Um, Man, I didn't like it. I didn't like that movie. I know there's a lot of people out there that like were raving about it at festivals, but it just wasn't for me. It was on my worst of the year countdown. That was my surprise pick for a lot of people. I didn't like it. I really didn't like it at all. But out of this list, I mean, yeah. So Anatomy of a Fall, Past Lives, I haven't seen them, so I don't have like an outright opinion about either one of them just yet. But if I were to pick out of these, I would love to see The Holdovers take this one home just because of how smartly written it all was. But like I said, we shall see. We shall see. Let me know what you guys are thinking about this in the comments. I don't think May December is technically pretentious, House that Hulkbill says. Um, it's an interesting topic here because May December is May December, it just rubs me the wrong way, man, in a lot of ways. Leo, you're unsubscribed. What the heck are you doing here then? What the heck are you doing here? If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe, please. How dare me not have seen Past Lives? I swore he loved it. I haven't seen it. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know what else you want me to do. Like, I have another life outside of YouTube. So I will get to Past Lives. Promise. I will get to it. Ethan, what's going on, my friend? Review Past Lives, Anatomy of a Fall, and Zone of Interest, and then you're free to go. You make that sound like you're holding me hostage, guys. You're you're really making it sound like you're holding me hostage here. But up next, we have, let's see, I'm guessing adapted screenplay is up next. Yes. So we have American Fiction, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. Again, haven't seen Zone of Interest. I need to check that out. All four of these other screenplays are excellent. And I remember saying in my initial review for Barbie last July, I said, don't be surprised if this is nominated for Best Animated Screenplay. And y'all were thinking that I was off my rocker. Look at it. There it is. Barbie, Best Animated Screenplay. I love it. I love seeing it, guys. I absolutely love it. Let me just go ahead and take a sip of this real quick. A lot of talking in these live stream format podcasts here, but it's a toss up for me, man. Like, any one of these movies could take it home. Once I watch The Zone of Interest, I'll probably have a better idea, but I'd probably be happy with any one of those. Let me know in the chat what you guys are thinking. Let me know in the comments what your favorite screenplay was. Jacob Hubbard is shocked that Killers of the Flower Moon was not nominated for adapted. Guarantee it won't win Best Picture. It won't. It will not, because I have a prediction when we get to that final category. Killers of the Flower Moon definitely. Uh, that one's an interesting one, like I said, because I know there were a lot of people that loved it, and there were a lot of people that were calling it a masterpiece right away, which is a big no-no for me, very much against the rules. Because if I were to sit here and call Killers of the Flower Moon a masterpiece, that basically means it deserves a Genie Plus pass into the AFI Top 100 over movies that have been around for decades. Like, I can't say that right now, but yeah, Killers probably won't win Best Picture. Josh, man, you haven't seen Oppenheimer? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So I do want to see that movie at some point. It's definitely considered Christopher Nolan's best movie since The Dark Knight and Inception. That is a popular sentiment. I do have a few friends that call Interstellar Christopher Nolan's best movie. Some people have even said that Tenet is Christopher Nolan's best movie. That guy just put out so much greatness over his career. And I think this is finally the year that he gets his due from the Academy. I really, really think so. But Leo, Interstellar is greater than Oppenheimer. Yeah, there it is. There it is. Yeah, like I said, I know a lot of people in my personal lives that adore Interstellar to absolutely no end. And I really, really dig it. It's a movie that I've constantly wanted to go back and revisit. But Oppenheimer, man, Oppenheimer was my favorite movie of last year. It no other movie affected me more than that one last year. But let's see. International feature movie. I didn't watch any of these. The Zone of Interest was nominated for Best International Feature also. Huh. No Godzilla minus one. That is a crime. Best cinematography. That one should definitely go to Oppenheimer. Poor Things is probably going to give Oppenheimer a run for its money in some of these categories. Cinematography. Do not be surprised if Poor Things takes that one home too, because that was just so unique and so out there and so freaking like it was almost like a fever dream, man. Poor Things is one of the weirdest movies I have ever had the pleasure of sitting through in my life, and I can't wait to watch it again. Thank you, Thomas, for recommending that to me. But here we are. Best Director. Justine Triet for Academy of a Fall. Yeah. I'm clearly not getting enough sleep. Anatomy of a Fall. Thank you. There we go. Jonathan Glazer, The Zone of Interest. Haven't seen either one of those movies, like I said. I need to give those a look, and I will review those for you guys, since some of you have been telling me that I need to. But the three movies that I have seen on this list, Killers of the Flower Moon, Martin Scorsese, that goes without saying. It's Martin freaking Scorsese, man. He's been nominated for so many Oscars in the past. I don't think he's going to take it home this time. It's between Nolan and Lanthimos for Oppenheimer and Poor Things once again. And like I said, Oppenheimer definitely has the potential to sweep a ton of awards this season. It really, really does have the potential to take over this whole entire ceremony, Lord of the Rings style. So my gut instinct says it's going to be Nolan here finally taking home his first Oscar win. But again, Yorgos Lanthimos could shock the world. He really could. So I'm expecting Nolan, but I will be very happy if it's Lanthimos as well. I can't even speak. But here we go. This is actually, believe it or not, one of my two favorite, most well-rounded categories that the Oscars have put out this year. One is for Best Supporting Actress here. You have Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, which some of you have mentioned in the comments already and already have polarizing feelings about it. You have Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple, which is awesome. It's awesome to see The Color Purple getting recognized in this regard. And Danielle Brooks was the big show stealer in that movie. She was just, so phenomenal. America Ferrera for Barbie. Love, love, love seeing that she was recognized. Jodie Foster for Nyad. I haven't seen Nyad. Her and Annette Bening were both nominated. I need to watch that. If you want me to review that as well, let me know. And you also have Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. Randolph seems to be the favorite here, huh? She won the Golden Globe. I believe she also won the SAG Award and the Critics' Choice Award, if I'm not mistaken. So she could, she is the odds-on favorite out of this quintet here. Although I would absolutely love if Danielle Brooks took this home. I would love nothing more than that. But I think this is Randolph's to lose. But yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, everybody's oh man, everybody's already throwing out so much love for Oppenheimer in the chat right here. You have Killian Murphy for Best Actor. I've said that he's been the favorite since July. So Randolph, I think, is taking this home. I'd love to see Danielle Brooks do it, but that's a really, really, really strong supporting actress category. Same thing for supporting actor. There were some surprises in here and some pleasant surprises. Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction. Freaking loved seeing that for him. Sterling K. Brown is like, here's the thing, guys. He is one of, if not like, he's one of my favorite actors working right now, really. I loved him as Christopher Darden in The People v. O.J. Simpson. Absolutely enthralling work from him. I loved him in the minimal scenes that he had in Black Panther. Just absolutely wonderful in that. In American Fiction, he's playing a character that is very different from everything else he's ever taken. And he was like, one of the emotional heartbeats of that movie, and I loved what he did there. So I was very, very pleased to see the Academy recognize him. But you also have Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon, probably one of my favorite Wolf in Sheep's Clothing performances in quite some time. Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling for Barbie. Um, yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to some other categories. And Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things. Like this is an awesome category here. 5 brilliant actors, all in their own ways. But if all the other awards are any indicator, this one has to go to RDJ. It has to. If Ryan Gosling takes this home, his speech is pretty much going to be recognizing Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig the entire way through. I think it's an off chance. It's an off chance that Ryan Gosling shocks the world here, but this has to be RDJ. It has to. The only problem with oh yeah, Josh Man giving us a review of Oppenheimer here in the chat here. The only problem about Oppenheimer is the R rating. Really? Well, I mean, Christopher Nolan kind of proved a point here. He made an R-rated, just brutal biopic that's a huge character examination of J. Robert Oppenheimer, clocks in at 3 hours, and it still clocks in over $1 billion at the worldwide box office. He's proven a point there, man. But in terms of this category, let me know what you think. I think it's going to be RDJ here. But again, we could have some surprises. Up next is Best Leading Actress, my friends. You have Annette Bening in Nyad, Lily Gladstone in Killers of the Flower Moon, Sandra Huller in Anatomy of a Fall, Carey Mulligan in Maestro, and Emma Stone in Poor Things. This category is missing Margot Robbie. It really is. You know, like the whole idea of Barbie and what Barbie is all about and the message of Barbie. And let's also mention Greta Gerwig being snubbed for Best Director. She absolutely belonged in that category with all 3 of those Best Director nominees that I mentioned earlier. Scorsese, Lanthimos, Nolan. Gerwig deserves to be mentioned in the same breath as those men. And what she put together with Barbie, again, like in hindsight, I think it's honestly going to be a favorite for so many people decades down the line. And who would have thought that? A Barbie movie. Who would have thought that? But in terms of this category and what we have here, if Margot Robbie was in this instead of, let's say, Carey Mulligan, even though she was amazing in Maestro, or even Annette Bening, all due respect, if Margot Robbie was in here, it probably would have been a 3-way tie for who I would have wanted to win. But here it's a coin flip between the 2 Stones here. Stone and Gladstone. See what I did there? I feel like people are leaning more towards the historic victory for Gladstone, and I would love that. I would absolutely love that. My only issue is that the movie, as much as it wants to say that it was about her, it wasn't. Leonardo DiCaprio's character was the lead. He was the one that we were following for all that time. 3 hours and what was it? Like 3 hours and like God, like almost 3.5 hours we were following this motherfucking guy, like Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, I really, really, really wish that Killers of the Flower Moon was more centered around Lily Gladstone's character than Leo's. That's my issue with it. But it's really a coin flip. I will be happy with either one of the Stones taking this home. Um, if you were to put a gun to my head and tell me who I think is winning, I think it's got to be Gladstone. I really do. But I will be delighted if it turns out to be Emma Stone. I really will, because the work and the understanding that she put into the character of Bella in Poor Things, like, it's among her career best. And she's already an Oscar winner, to her credit. La La Land, brilliant performance. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, believe it or not. Emma Stone in Poor Things might have surpassed her performance in La La Land. And that is crazy of me to say. So, even though I am picking Gladstone here, I will not be surprised if it's Emma Stone. But in any case, Barbie, yeah, Greta and Margot. I see. Here's the thing, guys. The fact is, the Academy, I feel like, missed the entire point of what Barbie was all about. Because I see some people are getting into some respectful debates here about why Barbie was quote unquote snubbed. And let me say this much. If the Academy nominated Barbie for Best Picture, cool. It nominated for a bunch of other technical awards. It nominated Ryan Gosling. But if you're going to nominate Ryan Gosling, then you also should at least acknowledge the women that made it possible. Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig, both. I feel like they just... Gosling, Robbie, and Gerwig, rather, I feel like they were all part of a package deal. If you were going to nominate one, nominate all of them. I don't care. Nominate all of them. Because if you just nominate the dude in a movie that's about, if it's a movie where you nominate the dude and it's all about female empowerment, then I totally understand where these people are coming from. The Academy, I feel like, completely missed the point of Barbie. Joshman Gamer, I do believe Robert Downey Jr. wins, and it also shows that he can really star in other movies besides Marvel. Yeah, that's why I really hope that Marvel Studios doesn't just go back to the woodwork and bring him back, because it allows him to expand. And look at Mark Ruffalo. Look at Mark Ruffalo as well. Nominated in the same category as Iron Man. You have the Incredible Hulk in there. So, yeah. America Ferrero was not... I know she was. And I'm so glad that she was recognized for it. But you have Robbie and Gerwig, who are producers for it. Like, I don't know. It is a whole mess and a half. The Academy snubs people every year. I was upset about the Robbie and Gerwig snubs, but again, not to shift focus here. People get snubbed every year, and the fact that they snubbed Gerwig and Robbie in their respective categories, not cool. Not cool. Especially when they nominated the dude. Especially when they nominated Ryan Gosling. So, yeah. I've already said enough about how stupid the Academy is now and how they snub everybody and just nominate their friends. Case in point, Bradley Cooper in this next category for Best Actor. Yeah, Bradley Cooper, even though he was great in Maestro, he should not be in this. It should be Zac Efron for the Iron Claw. No question about it. The fact that you didn't nominate the Iron Claw one time, Academy, shame on you. Shame on you. But anyway, what we have here is Bradley Cooper from Maestro, Coleman Domingo for Rustin, which I have not seen. It's on Netflix. It's on my list. If you want me to review that as well, let me know, and I'll get to it. It'll be on my list. Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers. I believe it was him and Murphy that took home Golden Globes. So Jeffrey Wright in American Fiction as well. Man, even without Zac Efron, it's a really strong category here. Again, if you were to put a gun to my head, I would say this is Murphy's to lose. But I would be I would be the happiest guy in the world if the Oscars surprised us and gave it to Paul Giamatti, because The Holdovers was just so damn great in everything it did. And your three leading performances throughout it, Giamatti, Randolph, and Sessa, who also was snubbed, some could argue. Paul Giamatti probably gave the best performance that he's given in at least 2 decades. Probably since Sideways, I would say. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to see Giamatti win, but I am picking Murphy to go over here. I love the recognition for Jeffrey Wright. I love the recognition for Coleman Domingo, which Coleman Domingo is a busy man these days. And, again, if you had to take one out, I love you, Bradley, but you've been nominated too many times. I'd rather see Zac Efron for the Iron Claw in your place. So, in any case, Paul, in my mind, Jacob Hubbard probably does not get this many chances, so I hope to see Paul win it. Cillian Murphy really hasn't had that many chances either, has he? Because every Christopher Nolan movie he's been given, he's had a supporting role. He was the Scarecrow in Batman Begins. I think it's a toss-up. It's really a coin flip. Again, just like Best Leading Actress this year, I really feel like you could give it to either one, and I will be happy with either choice. Eric Thorpe is nervous about Paul Giamatti winning. He was great, but Cillian Murphy, is the movie. It was the performance of his career. Yeah, dude, there's actually, I don't remember where I saw this exactly, but it was like a whole line graph showing everybody's amount of runtime in Oppenheimer, over 3 hours, and Cillian Murphy, I think, was in it for like 2 hours out of the 3. And then everybody else was down to it was whittled down to you see Matt Damon only has about 15 minutes of screen time. Emily Blunt has maybe about half an hour of screen time. Robert Downey Jr., half an hour of screen time. But don't listen to him, Bradley. You were snubbed from your Rocket nomination. Oh, as much as I would love to see him get nominated for Guardians, that wasn't going to happen. He had to put out an Oscar Beatty biopic like Maestro to do the trick. And even though Maestro is a fantastic follow-up to A Star Is Born, out of this list, Zac Efron should have been here, not Cooper. Efron gave an infinitely better performance than Cooper did in Iron Claw. I just want to see my guy from Big Fat Liar win Best Actor, but Cillian is also amazing. I don't blame you. I will be happy with either one. I'll be happy with either Giamatti, Murphy. Hell, if you want to have Jeffrey Wright thrown in there, if you want to throw him a bone and have him win this one, that would make me so incredibly happy, because he was, if you guys have never seen American Fiction, man, you're missing out. I love American Fiction 2 pieces. If I watched that before the turn of the new year, 2023, if I watched that towards the end of the year, that probably would have made an appearance on my top 20. Sorry, Mario, but you're getting bumped. But here we go. This is the whole enchilada. Best Picture. Poor Things is pictured here. That makes me think that movie could shock the world here. But look at this list of heavyweights here. You have American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, which again, I will review. I'll get to it. Barbie, which again, it wasn't snubbed according to some of you in the chat, but it should, Greta Gerwig, Margot Robbie, like I said, both should have been nominated. The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. I said closer to the top of this stream that we could see the Academy has an opportunity here. And again, this shouldn't be about finding opportunities to do historic things, but we could truly witness something at these Oscars that we haven't seen in almost 20 years. If anybody, I remember that was the first Oscar ceremony that I actually watched as a kid. And over and over again, these famous people and these presenters are calling out Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. We could potentially get a sweep that is unlike any other since Return of the King. And that is why my pick for Best Picture this year is Oppenheimer. I mean, that's a pretty cut and dry prediction for me because that was my number one movie last year. There's obviously going to be some movies that deserve to be listed here. Um, Again, I would have loved to have seen the Iron Claw in here. I don't care. I don't care if A24 did not go out and do their proper publicity. Awards should not be about publicity. It should be about recognizing the best of the best. And the Iron Claw, I think, was among the best of the best last year. And the fact that the Academy did not nominate them, shame on them. Absolute shame on them. But out of this list, like I said, Oppenheimer, definitely my pick. Um, if I had to go with an outside the box choice, I would love I mean, like, if you want to make the general public happy here, Barbie, Barbie could take this home and really, send the internet spiraling. They really could. They absolutely could give this one to Barbie, and it would not shock me. American Fiction, that's another outside the box choice. I would not be surprised to see American Fiction take this home. Poor Things. Last year, the Academy gave Best Picture to Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is, I absolutely love that pick. Absolutely love that pick on them because it is so, even though it borrowed a lot of what Marvel is doing right now and examining this whole idea of a multiverse and almost overpassing what Marvel's been doing with the multiverse so far. And the fact that Everything Everywhere All at Once is just so different from anything else you've ever seen going to the movies. There was nothing else that could have won Best Picture last year. Like, I don't even have the full list in front of me. And I'm sure you can watch my stream with Jacob last year to see that list. And I'll probably go back and look into that further. But Everything Everywhere All at Once winning last year, not a surprise at all, just because of how unique it was. They could do 2 years in a row of giving the most unique movie to come out in the year the Best Picture Oscar. And I feel like Poor Things is probably one of the most unusual movies you will ever come across. And yes, I did say it is like Frankenstein in reverse because you have this deformed, well-spoken doctor played by Willem Dafoe, and he's reincarnating a beautiful woman played by Emma Stone. It's, yeah. So we'll see. Again, I hate sounding like a broken record saying we'll see, but by the time comes, I think the Academy Awards are March 10th, I want to say. Once that time comes around, a lot of these predictions are either going to be very wrong. A lot of these predictions are either not going to date well, or, Oppenheimer, like I said, could just sweep all the awards just like Return of the King did. And I feel like there's an opportunity to do that. So my pick is absolutely Oppenheimer for sure. If I had to go with a backup, the Holdovers. Just because of how it just here's my thing with the Holdovers. We don't get a lot of heartwarming Christmas classics these days. And I know Alexander Payne has said for years and years and years, or like not years, but he'll probably be saying rather for years and years that The Holdovers is not a Christmas movie. Buddy Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. The Holdovers absolutely is. If you took Christmas out of the plot of The Holdovers, it would change everything, and he probably wouldn't even have a movie. You take the plot out of Die Hard, doesn't really change a damn thing. That's why it's not a Christmas movie. But anyway, I'm getting off topic here. Oppenheimer is my pick. Holdovers is my backup. Poor Things, I would love to see that win. But again, it's going to be it's going to be interesting. It really is going to be interesting. But that will about actually wrap up the categories. I'll chill with you guys for about 15 more minutes or so as we go through these comments here, as I get rid of the screen here and just go to my stupid ugly mug in full high definition here. Jacob Hubbard says Zack gave a winning performance. Like, if Zack was here, I truly think he would have. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, you put Margot Robbie in Best Actress, it's much more of a toss-up And it's much more of a gauntlet and a battle royale. Zac Efron, no pun intended, you put him into the ring with those four guys, then he could legit shock the world and take it home. But the Academy just didn't give him a chance. And I think that's on them. I don't think it's on the publicity team of the Iron Claw or the publicity team of A24, because I've said for a long time that shouldn't be what awards are all about. But that's what it's turned into. Byford the Habit says, thank you so much for joining the chat here. Oppenheimer will win big this year. I agree, man. Like I said, I think it has a legit chance to sweep a whole bunch of awards. I think it was nominated for 11 overall. Jacob Hubbard says the same thing. Oppenheimer best pick, no question. Yeah, I mean, would not shock me. Would not shock me in the slightest, and it would make me the happiest guy in the world. Joshman Gamer, another movie Robert Downey Jr. was, and that was really good, was in Sherlock Holmes, and its sequel, Game of Shadows. Yes. Yeah, I do recommend Game of Shadows in my book. It's pretty underrated, is what he says. I enjoy both of those Sherlock movies. I know they were saying, like, there was a third movie that's been in the pipeline and in development hell for I don't even know how long. And I don't know if that's because of RDJ's commitments to Disney and to Marvel, but now that his schedule's a lot more wide open, and the fact that he's going to win an Oscar here for Oppenheimer, I think there's a real chance that we could see a third Sherlock Holmes movie with him and Jude Law. I think that's certainly much more of a possibility now than it was 5 years ago, let's say. For what it's worth, I would have nominated Margot over America. It's just because of that darn monologue. Yeah. I mean, admittedly, also true of Blunt, who I'm more happy about. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot of points in Barbie, even though it was nominated for screenplay, where it just hammers the message over the head. But everybody that is so up in arms and just throwing all this backlash at the Academy, I think it's well deserved that the Academy take all this heat here from people. So I totally understand why people are upset. Oppenheimer winning would be the first time. I fully agree with what wins since Return of the King. Yeah, dude. I mean, the best picture winners, God, last year was Everything Everywhere All at Once. You had Coda winning in 21. Oh, Nomadland, the first year I was doing YouTube, that was the best picture the Academy picked. And I was so dejected and disappointed in them. Like, they didn't even nominate One Night in Miami that year, I don't think. But to each their own. To each their own. This is the opinion of the Academy's board. Oppenheimer will win all 11 Academy Awards in 2024. Oh, jeez. Oh, boy. Yeah. I mean, I just think it's going to be rewarded because of Nolan's craftsmanship. I don't think that's the reason why it's going to be, put on this pedestal. If Past Lives and Barbie in that order don't get the Oscar, I hope that Poor Things gets Best Picture. Personally, I don't think there were many movies that were as good as Everything Everywhere All at Once. Oh, that was a two-part comment. I see. Yeah, dude. I mean, Everything Everywhere All at Once is a phenomenal, phenomenal movie. Oppenheimer definitely affected me, and I was in it for all 3 hours. So that's why I think I would pick it to win. But Past Lives and Barbie, Past Lives could definitely shock the world. And again, I don't have an opinion on Past Lives yet because I haven't seen it. I will get to watching it at some point later on this week. Maybe I'll have a review out this upcoming weekend, the same weekend as Argyle. But again, stay tuned. Any movies that I haven't seen that we've talked about today, I will review for you guys if you want that. Excuse me. I think the general public will be just as happy with Oppenheimer as Barbie, if not more. Yeah. Well, I mean, the Barbenheimer effect was real, man. I mean, that felt like the cinematic event of the year was that double feature. And how weird is that we've come to that point? How weird is that a double feature that is just so outlandish and weird and memeable, that's the cinematic event of the year, and that's what got people going back to the theater. I remember both of my theaters that weekend were jam-packed for both of those movies. So again, we'll see what happens. I'm hoping for Oppenheimer. You're the worst. You're the worst. May December sucked. It It was right to not be nominated for Best Picture. Shouldn't have even been nominated for Best Original Screenplay. Oh, wow. Eric, Everything Everywhere All at Once is one of my least favorite Best Picture winners. What is your guys' least favorite Best Picture winner? I know the cliche is to say Crash because I think that won over the year Brokeback Mountain came out in 2005, I want to say. Um, but off the top of my head, I mean, Moonlight winning Best Picture and the whole fiasco that resulted in La La Land fake winning Best Picture. As someone who adored La La Land, I was so sad to see that happen to them. But Moonlight is a great, great second choice for sure. Um, my least favorite Best Picture winner of recent years, in hindsight, would probably be Green Book for obvious reasons. I liked Poor Things, but man, I really don't think it should win Best. Why not? It was weird. It was very, very, very weird. Nomadland is the worst Best Picture winner ever. I think Nomadland, in terms of craftsmanship, I think it was better than stuff like Crash that we've seen, but it's not. It's not an ideal winner of Best Picture in my book. It's not a Christmas movie, Eric. Let's put that argument to rest here. We've already been over this, guys. I reviewed it. I reviewed it. Oh, this is a good question, and this is something that everybody else can answer. Do you do anything special for the Oscars? Watch with the fam, GF? Well, actually, me and my girlfriend in 2024 are looking to move in together and find our own place. So here's a little sneak peek of what you can expect from me, especially later this year. You might see some different background from me. You might see a completely different change of setup and a complete shakeup in how I present my content. So that is something to look forward to, at least until the summertime. So, with that said, I do like to watch the Oscars every year with whoever I'm in the house with, whether that be my parents, whether that be Lindsay. It's a fun little tradition. I always like to do like tortilla chips and like dip it in salsa and all that stuff. It's a pretty basic stuff, but yeah, yeah. What do you guys like to do when you watch the Oscars? Let us know down in the chat. Um, my least favorite Best Picture winner was The King's Speech. Won the Oscar over The Social Network. Oh yeah, dude. King's Speech I thought was a great movie though. Winning over The Social Network was very, very questionable. I will say that. I haven't seen Crash, but Brokeback Mountain was a slog for you. Oh, really? Oh man. That may be one. When did that come out? 2005? That might be a Valentine's Day review one of these years. That might be a Valentine's Day review. Emily Blunt was in My Little Pony. Oh man, some of these chats, man. You guys never fail to make me happy. Leo, thank you. Congratulations on moving in together. And to answer your first question, that's the hope. That is the hope. I'm going to watch the 2024 Oscars with I don't know if I'm going to do a live reaction, if I'm being honest. I don't have like the proper software to actually have a television over here and like, have the live chat going on here. Maybe once I move in and maybe come 2025, the 97th Oscars, maybe that's more of a possibility doing some watch parties with you guys. But, only time will tell. Least fave, honestly, is Gandhi. Oh, I forgot about that, dude. So, okay, I'll tell this story and then I got to wrap it up because we're almost to an hour. So, E.T., I reviewed it last year, or no, 2 years ago because it turned 40 years old. And I've heard for so many years, I heard for so many years growing up that it did not win Best Picture. And I was like, how is that possible? And then I find out that Gandhi was the winner. And I'm like, okay, I mean, I guess it's a biopic. The Academy likes their epic biopics, so that doesn't really surprise me. But then my sophomore year of high school, I'm in my AP World History class, and my teacher that year, shout out to Mr. Barnes, he was the man, but he would show us a lot of classic movies to help us learn about certain historical events. And I was very fortunate at that high school. My U.S. history class was showing Lincoln and Glory and all this stuff for extra credit, and it was a blast. But in AP World History, Mr. Barnes shows us Gandhi one day. And it literally took us a whole freaking week to get through that movie. And he was kind of he was kind of sitting there, and I kind of saw like, oh, this was a mistake. This was a mistake because this movie was so long and honestly kind of boring. I was sitting there, I'm like, yeah, this is a really good performance, and I'm glad I'm learning about this, but this one over ET, this is what the Academy was more entertained by. Again, movies are subjective, even to the panel that is sitting on the board for the Oscars and actually picking the nominees and voting. To each their own. Film is subjective, and that's what makes discussions like these so much fun. So, with that said, I think that's a good note to wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this quick little impromptu, not so impromptu live stream. I do Oscar reactions every year, but it's a bit more condensed than I'm used to. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet, and please hit that thumbs up as well. That would mean the world to me. Thank you so much again for your support, and thank you so much for your interaction. If you're watching the replay, let me know down in the comments what your picks for the Oscar categories are this year. Let me know what you think the biggest disappointing Best Picture winner is of all time. But with that said, damn you, Jacob Hubbard. Yeah, I got to tune into his live stream at some point. I don't know if I can tune in live, buddy. I'm sorry. I got some other things going on. The Royal Rumbles tonight. I gotta prep. I'm hoping for any wrestling fans in the chat. I am hoping for Cody Rhodes and Bayley to take home the win, but we shall see. Again, I mean, it's probably going to be a combination of CM Punk and Bayley tonight. Thank you so much again for tuning in, guys. Lots more to come. I will be back live tomorrow to talk about a retro Royal Rumble with my co-host Tomas on the ZNT Wrestling Show. We are bringing back our good friend Greg Morgan of Good Mic Work Commentaries to discuss Royal Rumble 1999 on its 25th anniversary. And yeah, there's some shit we got to get into. Like I said, we'll also be reviewing this year's Royal Rumble, which takes place tonight at the time of streaming. There's going to be a new special guest coming and joining Tomas and I on that stream, so stay tuned. It won't be live. It'll just be pre-recorded. And Tomas and I will get together at some point within the next couple weeks or so to discuss all of the Vince McMahon allegations. In terms of new movies, I will be reviewing all three Best Picture nominees this year that I have not seen. I will be reviewing. January was a little thin, and I'm sorry that my content hasn't been as constant as it would be in recent months because I'm actually playing the lead in a play right now. So it's taking up a lot of my evening schedules right now. So I appreciate you guys bearing with me on that. But with that all in mind, there's a lot of good movies coming out in February. Argyle, Lisa Frankenstein, not so much Madam Web, but I'll review that for you guys for sure. That'll be interesting. But guys, thank you again so much for a great stream. Thank you again for great, respectful discussion. Commence that back talk and see you guys soon. Take care, guys.